Hello, everyone, and welcome to a bonus adventure at the Hub World. Today's bonus round will have us covering the topic of the newly announced Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions. My name is Jules, and today our party members are
Matteo?
And Gino.
whether you're joining our bonus episode from YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, be sure to give us a like or a follow. Now let's get this bonus round rolling. I've said bonus quite a bit. This is a bonus episode. Our
You couldn't
episode
tell.
50, if you couldn't tell, episode 50, which is quite the landmark, is in the works. It is our Switch Essentials episode, so it is taking a little while. That should be out within a week or two. Stay tuned for that one. But we thought just to kind of break things up, there was a Pokemon Presents this morning. There was some new exciting info announced, not a ton. So this isn't going to be a long episode, but it's going to be a little bonus. Just something to tide you over. So, no icebreaker, no housekeeping. Let's just get right into the meat of this discussion, which is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet versions, the official titles of our Generation 9 Pokemon games. Where do you want to start, guys?
I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. our time to watch this, and I kind of feel happy I didn't, but I made sure to not get spoiled. Like I had the Pokemon Presents loaded up on my phone and whatever, so I just pressed play and watched. And I thought that this trailer was going to be, it was hinting towards the Detective Pikachu 2 game because, we saw a detective looking guy walking through it's like a very fancy, almost like museum room. And then there was the coffee because Detective Pikachu loves his coffee. And there was what I thought was like electricity emanating from the door. Like definitely thought we were getting Detective Pikachu. And even when we first saw the gameplay, I'm like, oh, it's Detective Pikachu. But no, there was a certain point in the trailer that clicked with me. I'm like, oh my God, it's Generation 9. And immediately I felt overjoyed. I'm so happy that we're getting these games. And to boot, like everything seems to be exactly what I wanted when we talked about it in our episode 49. Was it 49 when we talked about Legends Arceus? Episode 49. So I'm just overjoyed, just so happy. I'm so excited. Can't wait till these games come out.
I did not think it was Detective Pikachu, strangely, because looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense that a lot of people thought it was Detective Pikachu because there was a
Coffee.
police officer looking around, and at the beginning of the Pokemon Presents, there actually was an animated Pikachu in the background that looked like Detective Pikachu.
That thing was creepy, by the way.
It was very creepy, and I'm actually wondering if Pokemon Company did that on purpose to kind of throw us off the scent of what they were announcing. And there was a lot of talk of what would be announced today, and I think a lot of people thought Gen 9 would be announced, but I don't think anybody really anticipated that Gen 9 really would look like this, because to me, at least from these first impressions, it does look like it's the natural evolution of both Legends Arceus and past traditional Pokemon games. And that's super exciting to me. Just like Matteo said, if you want to hear our full thoughts about Legends Arceus, you can check out our episode 49. But in that episode, I kind of talked about how I don't want a ton of Legends Arceus stuff to bleed into the traditional gameplay, and that still holds true.
I don't think
And
it will at this
I don't
point
think it will
because
too.
if this game is already what they said, it's coming out later at the end of this year. This would have been in the works for a long time. We had Legends Arceus coming out at the beginning. They would have been developing this side by side. So
Yes,
if they didn't
but
know
that's
that
what I
Arceus
mean.
was going to work, right? Why take that chance early on? And now they know
Well,
that the Arceus formula is going to work for that specific kind of genre for it, right?
well, I guess, but I guess kind of the way I look at it is Legends Arceus was the test for this, right? And it
Yeah.
wasn't a test to see how people would receive it. It was a test for them to create it. And that's the thing is
Oh,
I don't see it as they were waiting for reception. I see it more like they had this ambitious idea of an open world Pokemon game and they tried it out first with Legends Arceus and then kind of worked on it more for this game. I do really think that they're going to keep some things traditional. You see a couple screenshots on the website, one of a Lucario battling a Hisuian Zoroark and another of a Larvitar battling a Pikachu. And to me, it looks like they're going to return to like the traditional Pokemon camera, which would be cool. So like ideally what I would hope is that, it's going to be very similar to Legends Arceus in terms of like the open world, like Pokemon are out in the field. But when you do engage with those Pokemon, maybe the screen does go black and then switches into like a fixed camera. And the battle mechanics aren't swift style, strong style like what we're used to in Legends Arceus. It is very much so the regular Pokemon kind of formula. And I personally, like, as much as I would love for Pokemon to still attack you, I don't know if they'll keep that aspect either. But who knows? Like, who knows what they'll keep from Legends Arceus? But either way, it does look like a cool blend. And I hope that they do keep this kind of seamless transition of, like, like, even if it does switch to a fixed camera, it still keeps you in, like, that position in the world, so it doesn't take you to some generic battlefield. Like, you still like are in that world. It's just they kind of take the next step from Legends Arceus of like fixing, like the battle camera becomes fixed. So overall, I like the direction they're going art wise. I like the direction they're going world wise, and I'm very excited for this
For
game.
Spain.
Yeah,
For Spain.
yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about the region then,
Yeah.
Gino. Why don't you kick that off?
I've been seeing like fans kind of just talking about the like where the next region, like a bunch of Fakemon videos, let's say, and people were discussing Canada, people were discussing Latin America and things. And I feel like Spain is like a really good fit for this also because you can get some kind of old world vibes and stuff from storied cities like Madrid, Barcelona. You can get kind of like the Gigantamax stuff because they're also big soccer cities, so that mechanic could come back maybe as well. But like the rolling hills, kind of like it has like from what we saw in the trailer, it gave off this very like regal kind of like royal old empire, old money kind of vibe, which is interesting. Because like even the starter house, I'm assuming that was the starter house that we saw, was like up on a hill. It looked more like a villa. We even saw some stuff in there with the trainer wearing like a badge or something, and it looks like it might be like some kind of school uniform and like might be a boarding school.
Yeah, there was a picture, like if you stop at a specific frame during the part where they're in the trainer's house, like your character's house, you see a little snippet of a map of the region, and it looks like it's Portugal and Spain. My hope is that it's somehow they sort of connect it with Kalos, or at least we know that Kalos is next door. Maybe you don't go to Kalos during the game, but that's probably too much to expect. But I just like how they're building up the world. Like it's yet another country in Europe. I find it funny that there's 3 of the last 4 Pokemon games take place in Europe. I'm really digging this style. Like, and even the things like I'm looking at the pictures that they curated and posted on the actual website for the game, and I'm looking at Madrid or Barcelona's equivalent in the game, and like seeing all these trees and the pathways and stuff, because they said there won't be loading times anymore when you go into a city. The whole world is going to be seamless. Like the quote here is, with these new titles, the Pokemon series takes a new evolutionary step, allowing you to explore freely in a richly expressed open world. So they're using open world. They're not afraid to be saying it. And like the Pokemon centers are like outside the towns, which is interesting. And they kind of have like this hologram projection shooting out of the top. So you could probably see it from a great distance away. And I just think that those little small details and like even like just the people are going to complain about how the game looks no matter what, but for what it's worth, it does look like that is also taking a little bit of a step forward, especially in the details that they have on the Pokemon. Like we were having conversations earlier with like Stonejourners, texturing on on his body, and like the fur on Lucario, stuff like that just didn't exist. But now they're putting a little more detail into the character models, which is nice.
Yeah, they don't look plastic anymore.
And even like the brickwork on the town, the skies look better, the water looks better, the clouds look better. The grass looks exactly like it looked in Legends Arceus. So I'm really digging it.
I am too, and like even like this idea of like they're talking about how like the towns will blend like with the wilderness with no borders, and then also like the Pokemon will be what I really like, this is my favorite part, is that not only can you find them in the skies, the seas, the forest, but you find them on the streets, and you see that um, in one of the shots in the trailer where there's some Swablu like hanging on like a perch, like in the town. And I feel like if they go with the Legends Arceus kind of route of like you can freely catch Pokemon in the wild without engaging them in battle, or even if you do have to engage them in battle, it would be so cool if you're like walking around a town and like the towns now have Pokemon flying around that you can only find in the cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like things like Meowth because they're like alley cats and you'll only find them like in the cities, or like it would be really cool if that's like a thing that they do now where it's not just the wilderness, it's not just the environments, it's like even the towns have them.
Yeah.
um and I feel like they'll really make the world feel alive in a way that Gen 8 just didn't capture, and that Legends Arceus started to capture, but like I am really excited for that. Why don't we move on to talking a little bit about the main characters? So we don't know their names, but we have the two protagonists who wear these big kind of like sun hats, and some kind of uniform. And we found out that in Pokemon Scarlet, they'll wear one outfit, which is kind of like white and orange. And then in Pokemon Violet, they'll wear a different outfit, which is kind of gray and purple. But what do you guys think about the designs of those characters?
I really don't like them. I'm not really one to customize my trainer's appearance. I really like using what the game provides me, but I think this is the only game that I know right away that I'm going to change my trainer's outfits. I think they look like, to be honest, I think they look terrible. they, it just doesn't connect with me whatsoever. I can't wait to change them. I want my guy to wear like a cool baseball cap instead of this stupid sun hat, and those socks are too high. Like it just he needs to be wearing pants. Like I can't see myself connecting with either styles of trainers. So
I see. Unlike Matteo, I was more of the type of person that would go and customize customize my trainer. In Arceus, I made my character look like a professor with like the suit and the monocle and things like that. I'm definitely going to swap out of these uniforms also. Though I do like the idea of having your trainer look different depending on what version you had. We didn't really
Yeah.
have that since Gen 1 if you think about it. Because
Yep.
well, in the official artwork, red was wearing red and blue was wearing blue.
And like I'm also big on like customizing my character, and I likely will. But that being said, I actually really like the design of the characters, and I'll tell you why. Like I think they look silly. Don't get me wrong, but they look silly in the way that like when I watch like a foreign movie that's set in Spain or Italy or something like that, that I see their fashion as like that's so different, and like it does strike me very much as like what a young 11-year-old Italian boy would be wearing walking around the country. This will fall more into speculation, so I'll kind of just leave it at this though. But what if like they are going to adopt that kind of Legends Arceus vibe with the Pokédex, where like you are a researcher and you're doing more than just catching the Pokemon, you're also researching them, and the school is the kind of hub of the world where like you have the professor is like literally your teacher, and like there's different people in the school, and you do, and like that's where you report with like Pokemon stuff. But we'll kind of move on to the other big thing. Well, actually, no. Before we get to the last thing, the big one, I think let's talk about the names. What do you guys think about the names Scarlet and Violet? And do you feel like you're on Team Scarlet or Team Violet as of now?
I mean, it's very very early, but I honestly don't know what to think of the names. Like if you look at the actual like images themselves, the fonts that they chose are very different. Like Violet is obviously purple, but there's white spots in it and some straight lines that are going up and down throughout the text, whereas Scarlet sort of has a more like I don't even know, it's kind of fancy almost style type of font. And
Mm-hmm.
the borders are a lot thicker on the text, and there's a diamond shaped pattern to in the letters themselves. Those different patterns that the text have probably has to do with the legendary Pokemon, like the mascot legendary for the game. But the only thing I can base base my opinion on is whether I like red or purple more, and I'm got to go with red. So as of now, before I know anything that actually matters, I'm on Team Scarlet, I guess.
Purple is cool. Royal color represents a lot of power. Let's go with that. I'll go violet.
Obviously, I'm going to choose based off mascot legendary, but I'm definitely leaning more toward violet just because I like violet as a color. But in terms of just the naming conventions in general, I am surprised that they went back to colors. I do think that there might be more to this than just colors, though, you know? Like, they do feel like colors, but I feel like they're very, like, scarlet and violet are very specific.
Dyes, right?
Like,
And
they're
also
very specific dyes, yeah.
very expensive to make as well, right? Because like purple was normally seen as like like a royalty kind of thing, right? So it might be like harkening back to what I was saying before about like, okay, it might be something to do with like wealth, power, the monarchy. A little bit of a nerdy moment here about if you like your history and things. Scarlet and violet also appeared on the pre-Civil War Spanish flag, with yellow or gold in the middle.
Then the last thing to kind of cover in this discussion is the starters. We have Sprigatito, the grass cat Pokemon. We have Fuecoco, the fire croc Pokemon, and Quaxley, the duckling Pokemon. How about we go through them each and talk about them, and then we kind of say at the end which one we're going to go. So let's start with Sprigatito.
May I insert a quick little observation of the three
Sure.
before we get started? They all have
Yeah.
Spanish names except for Quaxley.
Yeah,
Or like
Quaxley.
Spanish sounding names.
Yep, it's true. But Sprigatito, the grass cat Pokemon, what do we think of this Pokemon?
My initial impressions of it was, oh, it really looks like a Pokemon that's like you see in one of those fan made games. It was kind of it felt like it was missing something. But the more I look at it, I honestly am starting to like it a lot more. I'm warming up to it. But the most exciting thing is that I'm happy that we finally we have a grass Pokemon that like isn't a plant or a reptile.
Or like a rodent?
Well, you had a bird.
A lot
I
of
know what you
grass
mean.
Pokemon are like they fall into specific archetypes, like specific
agree with
types of
you.
creatures and animals and things like that.
Yeah, they're
This
almost like
doesn't.
foresty animals, you know, like because like you have
Yeah,
like Grookey's a monkey, or like Chespin's like, oh gosh, why can't I remember the name?
Like a chipmunk.
Chipmunk,
Yeah.
yeah. And you have like, yeah, you're like they're very foresty animals, whereas a cat feels different. Like it's not a dinosaur and it's not this foresty animal, because that's ultimately what it's been, right? Is you've had like geckos, lizards, dinosaurs for the most part,
yeah, but
and
starters
then some
aside,
like
also like you have Pokemon like Petalil that's like a plant, Badoo and Roselia are flowers. Like this is something that doesn't fit like the grass type as a whole, like even outside starters. So like I really, really appreciate that element. And my mind sort of wanders. Like if they decide to keep the trope of like how they deal with the starter Pokemon, like the traditional like fan theories of the archetypes that the starters fall into, my mind kind of wanders into some really exciting areas that I really hope that they take the Sprigatito's line.
and with Sprigatito as well, like because I had that same impression of Sprigatito when I first saw it, is I'm like, that looks like a fan made like generic Pokemon, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first glance, but it's really, really grown on me the more I look at it. And I think what keeps me away from it right now is, of the three, I feel like it's the safest and the most generic, but that also leaves the most potential because I feel like we don't understand its motif yet. It could go either way with Pokemon, and we don't know what will happen. It'll either, play it safe like a natural evolution, like you had early on with like Bulbasaur up to Venusaur, where it looks like a natural progression, or you have something that, Fennekin to Delphox, where it's there's a lot of development that happens there from just being like a fox and then suddenly becoming like this wizard, right? Where the motif like really deviates. Or like any of the starters from last gen, right? Which all had that trend.
Game Freak, just keep Sprigatito on all four legs. I want its evolutions on four legs. I don't want it to be standing
agree.
up.
And even more so, Game Freak, I beg of you, not only don't make it stand on its 2 feet in the third evolution, but please, for the love of God, don't make it that its art has it on 4 legs, but for some strange reason, its model has it on 2 legs. The one cat Pokemon from, I think it's from Gen 5,
Purloin.
I still can't get over that every time I see it standing on 2 legs. Because all
Yeah.
its art was on 4 legs, and every time I see its model on 2 legs, I feel something come over me where I'm like, this looks wrong. So please, keep it on 4 legs.
Well, let's move on to the best starter.
Maybe. Boy Coco, I definitely saw immediately and was like, of the 3, I feel like this one.
It is the most mega Chad.
I looked at it, I'm like, I think this was the stupidest design. And
How
not stupid
dare
in,
you?
No, but listen, let me finish. Stupidest design in the sense that, like, I'm like, this one's the stupidest design, not in like a negative sense, but in like a silly sense where I'm just like, this one looks really dumb, and I know people are gonna love it. Like, I don't like it, but like, I don't dislike it. I actually like all 3 of the starters, but I think it's my least favorite of the 3. But that being said, I saw it and I was immediately like, people are gonna love this thing because it is adorable. But to me, it just reminds me of like, I don't know, like Ralph from The Simpsons.
Ralph is one of the greatest characters ever. How dare you?
I saw all 3 starters at the same time, right? When they showed it in the trailer. My eyes fixated on Fuecoco in a way that I've never connected with the starter that fast since Gen 3 when I first saw Trico. Trico's line are like my all-time favorite Pokemon. And Fuecoco
Oh, I can't wait for the
is in
memes.
that tier already for me. Like
I can't wait.
Fuecoco is already like a top 10 Pokemon for me.
Yo,
And like
he looks
he
like
just
such
seems
a derp.
he is like, this is like the Bidoof already. He's got so much potential. Like it's the lovable oaf Pokemon. I normally don't like Pokemon like that, but for whatever reason, it's a fire type. It's a crocodile. Like
Got little
he's
arms.
he's got little
Oh
arms,
my god.
exactly. Like he looks like a pepper, right? And his hair's like the stem of the pepper. It's just so cool. It's just such an awesome design, and the eyes, like, it looks like a cartoon. He's got like the beady eyes. Like, I just love it. I also another Pokemon that just will have so much potential. Like, if they really take the fire crocodile to its limit, it could be so fantastic.
I really warn you though, Matteo, as somebody who fell in love with the derpy Pokemon of last gen and was so disappointed when they didn't keep that motif up to its final evolution. That's my fear with Fuecoco, is that I love how cute he is right now, but I feel like they're gonna drop that cute, like, kind of like silliness, that whimsical aspect of him, to make him like cool. And I feel like that's gonna leave a bad taste in people's mouths because that's how I felt about Impidimp in Gen 8.
I want that to happen with Fuecoco. The base stage Pokemon, like it's supposed to be like the baby Pokemon, and then the middle evolution and the final, it grows up to become the final evolution where it looks like a boss. I think I want that. That's what I appreciate the most in Pokemon designs, right? Like Charmander is cute. Charmeleon is like the in between, like angsty teenager Pokemon, and Charizard's like this boss monster. It looks so cool.
That's
I
fair.
I want that. I mean, my favorite Pokemon trees are like that.
Now we
Yep.
can talk about our favorite one.
Donald Duck.
Unfortunately, Giancarlo's not here to do his Donald Duck impression.
Yeah, not yet. Gino pointed out something very, evident from the beginning, which is that Quaxley is the only one that doesn't seem to have a Spanish sounding name. And I remember when I read the English names, because I woke up at 6 and I watched it, and then I was like refreshing Cerebi for information. And I noticed that there was like Japanese names. I was like, oh, I wonder if the English names will pop up. And then they did. I remember looking at the names and reading Sprigatito and Fuecoco. I was almost like, there's no way those are actually the English names. Like, those sound like they're like the European names. And then I read Quaxley. Unlike, I think, any Pokemon I've ever experienced, ever, Quaxley felt like the perfect name for this creature. Like, it felt like Quaxley fit the vibe I had when I first looked at it. It's just perfect.
Yeah,
Everything about it is
it's a
perfect.
really solid name.
It is. It's so good.
Honestly, I'm really excited for this starter trio more than I've been excited for any starter trio in a long time,
Yeah.
probably since Gen 4.
I know. And it's like a lot of people feel like it's gonna fall into like the water flying kind of route, but like just like I kind of felt with gosh, why can't I remember any Pokemon names right now?
We're so excited.
I know with a Decidueye's first stage.
Rowlet.
Rowlet. Just like I felt with Rowlet, I never felt like Rowlet was gonna go the grass flying route. I feel that same way with Quaxley. And I have theories, and I'll tell you that at the end. But I'd like everybody else to say their impressions of Quaxley.
Quaxley looks like Donald Duck, and I already know that when I start with it, I'm gonna name it Dolan, because why not? It has like that kind of like Peking duck kind of vibe. It's like this big, like bulbous kind of white duck, yellow bill, and it has this little like toothpaste thing on its head. That's what Sarah said to us in our
Is that
in one of our
but
chats
is
and
that
stuff.
its hair, or is that like
I would
a
love it to
hat
be
it
a hat,
wears?
so it can be like hello and like take
I
its
think
hat
it's its
off.
hair and a hat.
Oh, but if it could take the hat off and like greet people like a gentleman, that would be awesome.
I would love for it to like grow up to be a sir.
Quaxley, I think, is my least favorite of the three designs, and I think the blue flippers have a lot to do with that. Because
There is a type of bird though that has blue feet.
oh, really?
Like, yeah, there is. I can't remember. It's a very specific type of bird, and I can't remember. I don't know what it's called because I'm not an what's the word, ornithologist or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't study birds.
I mean, we have duck Pokemon already. We got Ducklet, but Ducklet
It looks like
looks like
Ducklet and
garbage
Swanna.
compared to this. No, but this looks way better than Ducklet.
Way better. Yeah.
Yeah,
way better.
Ducklet looks like it's been like hit by a truck. It looks like
Yeah.
it's been through stuff. It, I don't know, but Quaxley I think is yeah, like I said, I don't. It's my least favorite design, but I'm excited to just like I agree with all you guys that this is I think the most solid trio of starters in a very very long time, and all lines have potential here. It's not like I'm like, genuinely excited to see the final evolutions of all these Pokemon. Like before other gens, I didn't care to see what Poplio evolved into or what Snivy evolved into because like I would wrote them off already after the just seeing their first stage. Like I know that I knew I wouldn't have liked any of them, but I like all of these. Like if there
Yeah.
was some way to have all the starters on your team at the beginning of the
There
game, I'd be
is.
down to
It's
do
called
that.
trading. I'm actually
Yeah.
debating doing all three, if
Hmm.
possible. My favorite is Quaxley. I think Gino has also said that, and
The thing is, I love Quaxley and Fuecoco really, really, really much. The grass starter for me is kind of like but I still can like see like it's very cute, and I'm really excited to see like if it becomes like a panther or something like that, right?
yeah,
Because that's also like a jungle cat, right?
yeah, or Sabretooth. I'm like so. This is where I'm at. I don't actually think this will happen, but I think it would be cool. Is if these starters ended up being the first starters where they're dual type, the trio of fire, grass, water. So, like for example, if Quaxley kind of becomes like a pirate theme, he can be water, fire, and
Oh, he'll have a gun.
Sprigatito can be yeah, like have a
He'll have
gun.
a gun.
And Sprigatito can be, like Sprigatito, maybe it like grows into some kind of swampish kind of cat and is grass water, and then Fuecoco is clearly a pepper, so he can be fire grass.
That's actually I never thought of like doing the type like the triangle like that. That would be actually interesting.
I think they'll do it eventually, whether it's
I don't
this
think we've
gen or
had
not.
fire grass yet. I don't think we've had that.
The potential is there for these Pokemon. Yeah, like we didn't see the mascots, but I'm honestly I'm happy with what we got. Like I think the big thing to show in this initial reveal was the world. And yeah, like we know the mascots and other Pokemon are going to come, but I think they really wanted to sell this vision of an open world Pokemon game, and the trailer definitely did that. And everything else, I think, is a bonus, like we talked about, like with the updated Pokemon designs and these starters. Like these starters are so fantastic. These games are coming out late 2022. 2022 already seems like it's going to be an insane year for Nintendo. People thought that this was going to happen, that we were going to get Gen 9 this year, but now that it's actually announced and it's going to be a reality, man, this year is going to be packed. So I think that caps for our discussion. We're probably going to talk more in depth in a future episode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah. Following our 50th episode, which we're seeing as kind of a landmark, we're actually going to be adding some new segments to the Hub World, and one of those segments we're actually going to try out with our like in-depth Gen 9 kind of discussion. And hopefully we'll have some guest stars there as well. But look forward, like stay tuned. Our episode 50 should be coming shortly, and we'll be talking about the Switch Essentials there. That'll wrap up our 50th episode, and we'll be ready to move forward into whatever's next. We have quite a month coming up, so there will be quite a few things to talk about, I'm sure.
sorry everyone for the delay in the episode, but Destiny 2 and Horizon Forbidden West are very difficult to put down. So I take the blame for the delay of the editing. So
yeah, and because we do have that episode coming, originally I envisioned that we'd have a full episode dedicated to what was a much better announcement this weekend at the Digimon Con. But alas, because we are waiting for episode 50, we'll just have to move past what would have been a fantastic episode full of lots of exciting announcements.
Agumon. If you liked what you heard here today at the Hub World, give us a like and a subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. Tell your friend, tell your mom, tell your mom's friend. Kind of like an impromptu kind of ending here with this one. Matteo, do you have any final words for our lovely viewers and listeners at home?
Microsoft, make a new banjo game. Boy Coco is the best. See you, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.